Hi, I'm Veronica and welcome to my channel. Today's video is a continuation of the last week's one, where I showed you how you can strengthen and mobilize your ankles in a functional way. And now we're going to dive more into the somatic approach, where we work more on so-called body mapping, and that's where you start becoming really conscious of where each part of the body is in space and how you can initiate the movement from a particular part of the body, and also how to connect various parts of the body. And in this particular case, it will be connecting the feet and ankles through the legs to the hips and further up. You don't need any particular props for this sequence, but you might choose some slidey surface like a wooden floor and maybe wear socks so that it's easier to make one of these movements. If you haven't done that already, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification button. Let's begin. Let's begin lying down on the back. So you can make your way down and start maybe with moving your legs in the air. So your legs move in the hip sockets, but you could also add to that moving your ankles and your toes. Just getting accustomed to how many different ways you can initiate the movement from here there are possible. So from the hips, from the knees, from the ankles, from the toes. And then you can land with your feet on the mat. Maybe give yourself a moment to settle more and think more with that upper part of the body, with the head, with the pelvis. And then lift one foot off the mat. Maybe make some micro circles with the knee in the air and then let your leg float up towards the ceiling. You're not trying to straighten it, you just want to let it float somewhere where it's gonna feel comfortable. And here you can still use the visual, so check whether whatever you're telling to your body is actually happening as you make the circles with the ankle. So often what can happen is that other parts of the body join in as well. So maybe there will be some movement in your toes. There might be some movement in the whole leg, kind of moving around its own axis. So see if you can isolate the movement to just the ankle itself. And if there's any way to make this movement more smooth. So rather than this resembling some sort of a geometrical figure with lots of sharp corners, with lots of angles, can it be really a circle? And then you can check how it would be if you're not looking at your ankle. So if you don't want to close your eyes, you might be looking in a different direction. And can you still isolate the movement of the ankle without your eyesight being involved? You can also change the direction of those ankles. Ankle circles. You can also change the direction of those ankle circles. And then bend the knee. Maybe shake that leg a little bit. Keep that ankle completely relaxed now as you wave the leg right and left and let it land. It might feel quite different than the other one. Now let's go and repeat the same on the other side. Tiny circles with the knee so that your thigh bone can dive deeper into the hip socket and then find that place where the leg can effortlessly fly up towards the ceiling so that there doesn't need to be any tension in the leg muscles. And then again, there's this movement of full ankle circles that first you can check where it's quite easy to see your foot. how smooth it is. Are there any moments where you feel you're jumping over some part? And if there are any other parts of the body that are kind of helping you out with this movement. And then you can check also how it would be to have your gaze turned in other direction or your eyes closed. And dive into the feeling, that felt sense of what's going on in the ankle. And it might be you start feeling actually more these little clicks, these moments where something feels a little bit rusty or as if you're overcoming a hurdle. And if that feels like very, very tiring for your leg, you could try the similar movement with your knee bend. That's another option. And eventually you can bend that knee, swing the leg right and left, and gently rest the foot on the mat. So that was just a little wake up. And now we're going to move into a seated position. Okay, so you'll be sitting with your feet on the mat and with your hands behind you. So I can show it for a moment from this angle. You can lean some weight into your arms and your hands, but try not to collapse like this, as this can be quite tiring and a little bit too much for your wrists. Okay, so you're going to be sitting with your feet quite wide apart, as you want to give space for your legs to move to the sides. And perhaps you know this movement already, it feels familiar for you. That's windshield wipers. But if you kind of don't think about this movement, what happens when you do the windshield wipers is that you usually move from the knees. And even if I kind of slowed it down, that would be knees dropping to one side and knees dropping to the other side. But you don't really connect to where that movement really starts, and that is from the feet. So try to erase the way that you used to do it, and now dive all your attention to your feet and think how this movement would look like if you initiate it from the feet themselves. And there will be this kind of movement when you roll onto outer edge of one foot and inner edge of the other foot. And there is almost a kind of suction movement that happens from the ankle when the soles of the feet return to the ground, and you do the same on the other side. There's this twisting action in the ankles, and you roll to the outer edge of one foot, inner edge of the other foot. So how it would look like? You start from the feet. So in the beginning, the knees don't do anything yet. You roll onto the outer edge of one foot, inner edge of the other foot, and then this movement continues. So after the ankles, there are the legs. And if you really follow it, you'll notice that that little bit of a lift in the hip happens naturally. So let it happen. You don't want to have those sit bones screwed to the ground. It's not natural. And then if you want to return, the suction movement as if soles of the feet wanted to return to the ground, and then the legs follow, the hips follow last. Yeah? That is the natural chain of the movement, how that movement travels through you. And then again, you roll to inner edge of one foot, outer edge of the other, the legs follow, the knees follow, the thighs follow, and there is even, if you wanted to continue this movement and make all of the body become part of it, you will feel that the natural consequence of it is kind of spiral that moves even through your torso and all the way to your head. And then you return, starting from the feet, suction. Soles of the feet return, legs return, knees return, thighs, hips, torso. Back in the center. Okay, so you keep going. But go slowly. And if you want, you can add that extra spiral that happens in the torso as well to make it more of a whole body movement, but you don't need to. You can focus on the lower portion of the body as well. The most important is that you're really starting the movement from the feet. So there's a lot of action going on there. There's this movement of twisting action, this kind of movement as if the soles of the feet wanted to stick to the mat, and then you roll to the other side. And you might even try that with the eyes closed so that you completely focus on the felt stance only. Or look somewhere straight ahead, but not at your feet. So can you move from the feeling and not from seeing? And you might notice that you're kind of moving in space and you end up somewhere more forward after a while if you carry on this way. That is fine. Again, you're not trying to fix yourself anywhere in space. Your body will move, and that's perfectly natural. And maybe just out of curiosity and for comparison, you can check how it would be to start from the hip itself. The hip, the pelvis, initiating this movement. So there will be this movement of hip moving forward and in that spiraling motion all the way to one side and then returning. So when this movement starts from the hips, it's almost impossible not to feel it in the torso. The torso will definitely become part of it. So you see now the feet can relax and it all starts from much higher up. And that's just to give you an idea that you can really initiate a movement from various points in your body. And the very last movement I wanted to cover, you can sit with the feet on the ground and maybe stretch out one leg in front of you, let them be completely relaxed. And then slide the other one in front of you as well. And now imagine that you want to have a good look at the sole of your foot. So the movement you create is kind of turning your foot as if exactly what I'm doing with my hand now, as if you wanted to look at the sole of the foot now, how I'm looking at my palm. And from here, the movement really starts from the foot. You can slide that heel along the floor, and you still have the foot in this position. And you slide it as far as it wants to slide. So really connecting all of that chain, the foot to the knees, to the pelvis. You can have a good look at that sole of the foot, and then make it slide away, slide away, slide away until it relaxes. You can try that again. Turn as if you wanted to look at the sole of the foot, and then slide that heel along the floor. Look at it, and then slide it away, and release. And it's going to get a little bit more complicated than that. It's usually more tricky. You're trying now to look away from the sole of the foot. So it's the opposite movement. You want that sole of the foot to point out to the side. It's going to be not such a big movement, so don't expect too much to happen. And once this happens, you can let your weight shift a little bit more towards the other pelvis so that this movement can happen. And it still starts from that foot and from the inner edge of the foot. Now you're going to slide the inner edge of the foot along the floor, again, as far as it wants to, until eventually you can look at the sole of the foot, kind of over the shoulder, and then again you slide that inner edge of the foot along the floor, and at the end both legs are relaxed. So let's just try that one more time. The sole of the foot turns, and there has to be a bit of a shift of the weight, otherwise you won't be able to make this movement happen. So that hip has to lift a tiny bit so that you can bend and slide the inner edge of the foot along the floor in as smooth movement as possible. Look at the sole of the foot and then equally smoothly slide that foot away until both feet are relaxed. And again, compare right and left before you go for the other side. First, turn the foot in, as if you wanted to look at the sole of the foot, and this movement really starts from here. You could start it from the knee, you could start it from the hip, but we're starting it from the ankle. And slide that outer edge of the foot along the floor. Foot is still in the same position. See how far you can slide it. Look at that sole of the foot, and then slide it away, 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 until eventually like relax completely when it's straight. Again, turn that foot, movement comes from the ankle here, and then slide that foot along the knee will bend as a response. Look at the sole of the foot as smoothly as possible without rushing. Slide it away, release. Now the opposite movement, as if you wanted to turn that sole of the foot away, a little bit of a shift of the weight so that you can really slide that inner edge of the foot along the floor, and eventually look at the sole of the foot, and again slide that foot away, 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 and release. And again, turn the sole of the foot away, a little bit of a shift so that you can really slide that inner edge of the foot along the floor. As you can see, it works much better if you're on the floor or on the carpet, or in the socks, than on the sticky mat. The sticky mat will really stop you. And once you're here, you can wiggle your toes. You can make some circles with the ankles, checking that it's only the ankles moving, so you don't want all legs to move. Yeah, that is a different movement, but just the ankles. And that's it. Your feet are brand new. I encourage you to stand up now and just check how it is to stand up and how it is to walk around the room. I hope that you enjoyed this practice, that it was something new, out of the box, in some way illuminating. And if so, please let me know that in the comments. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to my channel. And if you'd like to get to know more about the classes, programs, masterclasses that I teach, head to my website, www.withmetta.eu, and you can find that link in the description as well. Thank you very much. Have a lovely day.